All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the Navigating Dual Degrees in Engineering, specifically for the main department. So main stands for Mechanical, Aeronautical, Aerospace, and Nuclear Engineering. There are other possible duals outside the School of Engineering, even within the School of Engineering, but today we're specifically talking about the main department and the duals within. So this is the hub team. If you've been on a presentation, you've seen all our faces at this point. Um, Everyone's on right now, minus Kelly since she is on leave. But if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to follow up with me or your actual academic advisor. If you're one of Kelly's majors, feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to help you guys. All right, so which dual options are we specifically talking about today? So the three main ones that we are putting on display today are the aeronautical mechanical engineering dual, the aerospace mechanical engineering degree, and then the nuclear and the mechanical engineering dual degree as well. A lot of people ask before we start, there is no such thing as an aeronautical aerospace dual degree. They are too similar to be a possible dual. So if that was an idea of yours, it will not be happening. So why should you declare a dual? Potentially enhance your career opportunities, academic challenges, your personal growth. It aligns with your goals, long-term flexibility. So if you change your mind while you're in industry, you have that other opportunity to switch to another possible job. And then a broader skill set. Why you should not declare a dual. Shutting out future opportunities or cornering yourself too early. So that means you have time within your first year. If you don't declare it, you'll be okay. You want to be more marketable, but you aren't sure what for or why. So you're tempting to do something, but you don't really know what goals or what's going to align with that. You want to be educated when you make these decisions. You haven't spoken to recruiters at a career fair. And we bring up the career fair only because you're trying to base your degree off of the job you want. You're not trying to just get a degree and then hope for the best when you get out. My favorite, an upperclassman told you to. And then lastly, you don't have a game plan, which kind of plays into some of the other reasons why you shouldn't declare a dual. So where do these dual classes fit? So sometimes there's additional courses outside your degree requirements. So you'll see the dual credit hours later on. It's a little bit more than what your standard single program is. It might fit into your aerospace or aeronautical technical electives, your nuclear engineering technical electives, and your free electives. So that's another thing to talk about with your advisor if you have any questions about that, because sometimes you have transfer credit that meets that free credit area. So if you add the dual on, you're adding more work back onto your plate. Sometimes you have research. There's a lot of things. So declaring it, when can I officially declare a dual? So the earliest is actually next semester, the second semester. The reason being, we want to see how you guys are doing. Can you handle it? Is it a good idea? Um, and also at that point, that's usually when we start developing your plans, your 4-year plans. The latest that you can officially declare it is the semester before you graduate. So fall of 2028 if you're on a standard 4-year plan. Now, that doesn't mean you take all those classes within the last semester. It just means you haven't officially declared it with registrar. As always, if you have any questions about that, talk to your advisor. How do I declare? So there is the major change form on the registrar's website, and you email it directly to your advisor. Even if you're changing from a totally different engineering discipline over to the aerospace mechanical, you still email that directly to your official academic advisor. We will not be accepting forms prior to the spring 2026. So if you send it now, you're going to have to resend it next semester. So why you're all here, we're going to go over just the classes to anticipate that are going to be replacing those different electives we spoke about. For starting off, we're going to talk about the nuclear mechanical engineering dual template or classes. Just so you're aware, we don't have the official template where it puts in like the recommended class load. We just have the classes. The official template's going to be launched in the spring semester when you guys can officially declare. But if you want to see what classes you would have to take in place of others, this is where that information is going to be helpful. So for this dual degree, it's 134 credit hours. Nuclear, I believe, is 132, and then mechanical, I believe, is 129, if I'm not mistaken. Bullis and Karen, you can correct me on that if I'm incorrect.
Nope, you're
But
correct.
all right, cool. So it's a little bit more, it's still a 4-year plan, but it just depends on what classes you are actually taking. So starting off, instead of having the capstone design elective, you're gonna have to choose between, you get to choose between the multidisciplinary capstone design, Mentor Studio, or the nuclear engineering capstone. So you have choices. Replace your electronic instrumentation class with an instrumentation elective. Free electives, you're going to see obviously all new nuclear engineering classes. And this is really where I want to talk about it. I'm not going to go through every slide with all the classes. I'm going to leave it up and I want you guys to take pictures of it. So that way you kind of see, depending on your case, what it would be. Again, I'm going to send out this afterwards, so you can wait for the slideshow if you prefer that way. But specifically, if you're a mechanical engineer adding the nuclear engineering dual portion, instead of having free electives, so free electives are classes you have the ability to choose, and those can be any classes. That can be a random Haas class, a management class, it can be research, it can be transfer credits, AP credits, Cambridge exam, etc. So that gives you opportunity to choose it versus when you are declaring a dual, you are taking specific classes to meet that criteria. So that means more complex classes in some cases. Or, like I said, if you have transfer classes, you're adding classes back on your plate. So if you wanted a lighter load, a dual is not going to be the answer for you. Technical electives, you'll be satisfied by more nuclear engineering classes, and then you have 2 additional laboratories that would fit into the requirements or for the dual. Like I said, I'll leave this up for another second and then I'll move on to the next one. So each slide's gonna be a little bit different because it's from different perspectives. So this is the mechanical engineering degree adding the nuclear engineering onto it. So I'm gonna change. So now this is from the perspective of a nuclear engineer adding the mechanical engineering. So again, you have the choice of your capstones, very broad. You get to choose your instrumentation elective. In this case, you have to take materials science. And then for a nuclear engineer, you no longer have to take that introduction to nuclear engineering that you would take in the spring semester. You could take processes instead. Now, I have seen students take both classes because they're both 1 credit hour. The Intro to Nuclear Engineering class is a 1 credit hour seminar class. Each week, a different faculty member from that department's coming in and talking about what they did, research, etc. So it's not a bad class to be in. Obviously, it's still going to be a time period that it takes up your time. But if you wanted to still take that class, no one's stopping you. It's just you don't have to take it. You can take the engineering processes instead. In this case, for your free electives, you're going to be taking mechanical engineering based classes as free electives. And then for your nuclear engineering technical electives, again, you're going to be taking lab-based mechanical engineering courses. And again, this is from your nuclear engineer adding on the mechanical engineering dual. All right. Now, the big one, aeronautical and mechanical engineering dual and the aerospace and mechanical engineering. Both of them are 132 credit hours. Generally, the aeronautical aerospace are 130 credit hours. Again, mechanical is generally 129. So it's only a few credits more than what you normally anticipated. It's just which classes are you taking instead? So if you are an aeronautical or aerospace engineering major already and you're adding the mechanical engineering dual, it's really not that complex. So free electives, you're taking those mechanical engineering based classes. Your technical elective, it has to be heat transfer, and then you only have 1 additional lab course. So when you're looking at these, and you'll see it also on the next slide, The aero or aerospace with the mechanical engineering dual tends to swing more towards the aeronautical aerospace major. So I always tell students you're more of an aero or aerospace major with a little bit of mechanical engineering sprinkled in. So if you don't want to be doing a capstone when it comes to aeronautical or aerospace, that dual is probably not the best for you. And I'll explain why. So this is from the perspective of your mechanical engineering, adding on either the aeronautical or aerospace dual. You have to take either the air vehicle design or space vehicle design capstone. So you no longer get to choose the multidisciplinary one. You do still have to take that final capstone. So usually that's a big point I like to make with students because sometimes people don't want to do that, and that's perfectly fine. But just know you must take one of those classes. There's no way around it. You will choose between a computation elective. You do not have to take the thermal and fluid lab. Instead, you're going to take fluid dynamics lab. And then your free electives instead are going to be all aeronautical, aerospace. Depending on which aeronautical or aerospace, you would take a specific flight mechanics elective that would go before your capstone. And then you have your technical electives, again, aeronautical or aerospace based. And then you have 2 additional courses that are added on that you must take. Fundamentals of Flight is a spring only course. It's a seminar class. Like the nuclear engineering course, it's a seminar where every week they're bringing someone in from aerospace, and talking about their research, what they did in industry, and it gives you a better idea of what to anticipate over the next few years. So really, it's the seminar classes that you really have to add onto your schedule for next semester. But the rest of the courses, really, we're going to be working those into probably more your junior, senior year, unless you are accelerated, and then we're going to move those up to sophomore year. If you have any questions about this, this is where you meet with your advisor specifically, and we'll come up with a plan. So, recommendations. Before you think about adding a dual, you have time. There's no rush at this point. You can't do anything about it at this point. What's your GPA like? So I want you to reflect on your first semester. How'd you do? How'd you feel? Do you feel like you could add more classes in engineering to your plate? And this might change over time, but if you're barely passing, remember you need at least a 2.0 to graduate. If you're barely passing, would adding engineering classes really help you? Do you have time? So that kind of came into play for what I just said. But the last one is really, is your time more valuable in pursuing a club, research, or another experience? And I say that because just because it's as easy to add, you have a friend that does it or an upperclassman that does it, is it truly what you want to do? Or are you just doing it because it's easy to add and looks good on paper? Because I don't know if you know this, RPI has a lot of classes that are not in your curriculum in the course catalog, and I'll show you that after this, where you can add them in as free electives, or like you can do research for credit, and that's still meeting curriculum requirements, but you're building experience outside just the theory portion. And if you remember in the beginning of the presentation, we brought up going to like a career fair. And the reason why we say that is recently, myself and another advisor went to one and we're asking all the different companies what they're looking for. And really, maybe 1 out of 10 said they're looking for dual degrees. The rest of them were like, hey, we're looking for these areas or maybe these specialties. It really depends on the student. We want to see more well-rounded students, not just those people with their heads in the books. We need applicable experience. So you might want to start looking at clubs too. And then from there, if you talk to them, people in those clubs, they might say like, hey, this is actually a better opportunity. It might be a coding class, or it might be like you just network through a student and they're able to help you. So don't always base it on just the theory portion of the classes. There's more value in other areas possible with your time. So that's my spiel. So like I said, after this, I'm going to show you the course catalog and what I usually have students do when they're kind of in between whether to do a dual or not. But if you have any questions, meet with your advisor. We have drop-ins Monday through Thursday, 2 to 4. You can come in and just be like, hey, I checked out the webinar. I have a few more questions, and we're happy to answer them. You can also message us, email, or book a meeting. So let me stop sharing for 1 second. While I'm pulling this up, do we have any questions at all that need to be answered?
No questions in the chat, but can let me ask you this though. Who do you get your advisor changed if you were to switch your major? And how do you switch your major if you wanted to do one of these duals?
So yeah, so when you submit the change of major form in spring, you would change to that advisor. I happen to be the advisor for all those duals. So most likely if you're thinking about changing to one of the duals, I'm going to be your advisor if I'm not already your advisor. And that's done already in the background. You guys don't have to worry about it. But yeah, if you have any questions about any of that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Come to drop-ins or book a meeting with me. That way I can help you out. Thanks. Thanks, Boo.
Yep.
All right, if there's no more questions, I just pulled up the course catalog, so I'm going to show you guys what I was talking about of maybe finding other classes that meet what you want to do. So let me share that screen. All right, so if you have never been to the course catalog gives us your degree program, the prereqs, and tells us everything we need to follow for your particular year. So I'm in the 25-26 year. You always want to make sure you're in that catalog because depending on when you entered, it might be different for the program, including duals. So if we scroll down, I always go to courses. And you can search any course through here like this, but I'm going to just start with the main department just to be very general. And then you can see a bunch of different classes. So you'll see classes that are already in the curriculum, aerodynamics, propulsion, flight mechanics, but this one's not, multi-rotor aerial vehicles or vibrations, machine dynamics. So what I'm getting at is sometimes there's other classes that you might have more value in versus comparing the classes that you would do in the dual. This might be a better case for you to follow versus just the standard dual template. I know it's not a dual degree, but if you're looking to do something in your industry specifically, you might want to specialize in it. So I recommend students do this. You can do it if you are interested in, say, physics. I know that's a big one. Look up physics courses. There's other minors you can do. So before you declare, I want to give you homework on just looking at other opportunities. And if you still decide to do dual, great. No one's going to stop you. But we just want you to know that there's other things out there besides the standard dual that everyone else is doing. Do I have any questions about that? No? All right. So I know that was a fast presentation. I'm going to stop the recording. So if you're watching this, feel free to contact us and have a good day.